It's August 2023, and the new Path of Exile League Trial of the Ancestors started last weekend. Last league, I decided to league start properly. I leveled with a reasonable skill, cleared the acts as fast as I could without getting distracted, started mapping, and then promptly got burnt out from the game. Turns out, trying really hard to have fun makes it really hard to have fun. So this time, I'm doing the absolute opposite. I will allow myself to go as squirrel-brained as needed. I will succumb to every temptation of trying stupid shit. I probably won't make it past level 80.
And it will be glorious.
For some reason, I wouldn't even pretend to be able to rationalize. I needed this character to be named Jephe. So when I got through the login queue, I spent 20 minutes trying variations of Jephe until I found one that wasn't taken. I now own 2 Jeffs, which is 2 more Jeffs than any one person should own. So, without any further ado, this is 0 to 0, Path of Jephe. After waking up in Rayclast, I killed this zombie because fuck this zombie, then I entered Lion Eye's Watch. Here's the plan. I always play Flicker Strike, as it is objectively the funnest way to consume Path of Exile. However, you may have noticed, Jephe is a Shadow, whereas most Flicker builds go Duelist or Ranger. I'm planning to go Trickster instead for maximum frenzy charges, and Wrong! I watched Yoziz's Infinite DPS video from forever ago, and it made me want to try a Poison build, so I'm going Poison Assassin Flicker Strike. Now, I know what you're thinking. The Infinite DPS build only worked well because of the Viper Strike Threshold Jewel, and Flicker Strike has absolutely no synergy with Poison, and the Assassin Keystone that gives Poison duration got nerfed since then. And those are all good points. In order to use Flicker Strike, I need Frenzy Charge Sustain, and the best way to get it is with a Ferul's Fur or Replica Ferul's Fur, but those are priced at around 3 kidneys each, so they're a little bit over budget. Instead, I want to use the Red Trail Boots, which grant a Frenzy Charge on hit. You might be wondering, Red Trail Boots rely on being bleeding, so how will I inflict bleeding on myself? And the answer is, I'll inflict bleeding on myself. The Golden Rule is a unique jewel that reflects bleeds and poisons you inflict back to you. How will I manage the damage from the reflected bleeds and poisons, you ask? I won't. Watcher's Eye can make you unaffected by both bleeding and poison, and the only cost is having to use Malevolence, which I was gonna use anyway. Well, having to use Malevolence and 3 kidneys, which we've established doesn't fit the budget. So instead I'm gonna go just for Unaffected by Bleeding and get a Maw of Conquest to ignore the poison damage as well. But all these plans are for later on, after I have cleared the campaign and farmed some currency. So for now, let's go back to the gameplay. I tried Cobra Lash for the first time and immediately made the questionable decision to level with it over Poison Concoction, which is my usual go-to. And so Act 1 went exactly how you would expect it to. After Act 1 comes Act 2, which means Caitlyn, Oak, and Lyra, as well as a Golden Handy before climbing the Ancient Pyramid to deal with the Vaal Oversoul. It was here that I found out that if you prepare for boss fights, you can kinda just... But this decidedly felt un-Jephe-like, so I did not do it again. Act 3 goes...
Damn you! This world is an illusion, Exile. It's funny.
And Act 4 goes. I mean... And then we enter the Anus of the Beast, and... followed by back to Oriath, from where Jephe was originally exiled for stealing Belle Delphine's bathwater. Finally, Act 5 goes because it was 3 AM by the time I got there and I can't afford to ruin my sleep schedule over PoE like the degenerate I wish I could be. Which leads us to Saturday. Saturday was PoE day, and I had one goal in mind, swapping to Flicker Strike. But because Jephe isn't a raider, sustaining frenzy charges was gonna be tough, and I couldn't afford a red trail setup because there weren't even any red trails on trade yet. So I came up with a short list of stuff I needed to swap to Flicker Strike, starting with Multi-Strike, Terminus Est, and the Frenzy Charge Mark Mastery. In Act 5, Innocent goes, and Jeff's deicide spree begins, but before that there's the first Kitava fight, which isn't super easy and forced me to use my special secret technique called but that just pissed Kitava off, which led to
The flame of hope may flicker.
and there go my resistances. After running back to Rayclast, I got Mark on Hit and Assassin Mark from Lily. Then I went back to the title island to recover Bestial's Naruto Sasuke Yaoi fanfic, before continuing on to less important things, like as the time to swap to Crit Flicker approached, Jephe finally graduated to Assassin, to get 160% increased crit chance from the permanent 4 power charges. Then Brutus and Chevron go again, and Jephe reached level 51, which was the last ticket on the list to swap to Flicker Strike. So finally, after so many hours, I could go back to Flicker Strike, my beloved. With this newfound power, the god killing continued. And keeping in line with the spirit of not preparing for bosses, I went into the Brine King battle with less than 50% cold resistance, running haste over Purity of Elements. In Act 7, my gear started lagging behind where it really should be, so instead of upgrading it, I spent my currency swapping out my gloves for the Rampage unique gloves and buying a 14% quality Vaal Flicker Strike. I know that might seem like a stupid idea, but this is what peak Path of Exile feels like. Nothing beats Vaal Flicker into Rampage in terms of pure fun. Anyway, Arakali goes, and Act 7 ends. Now, Act 8 has always been where I get distracted the most easily, and this time was no exception. I spent so long just clearing packs of monsters and moving on to the next area that before I noticed, I circled all the way back to the start of the act. If nothing else, let that be a testament to how much fun Vaal Flicker Rampage is. In the end, I did remember to which meant I was finally at the Blood Aqueducts. Unfortunately, it was already time to again, so I did a little bit of before closing PoE. And this is where the video should have ended. I was going to spend Sunday working on this video so that I didn't have to do it during the week. But instead I decided to just play more PoE, both cutting down the time I had to edit and increasing the amount of stuff I had to edit. Seriously, fuck past me. The TLDR of Sunday is into finding another entrance into the beast, into again. Seriously, you actually have to kill these 3 fuckers 3 times each during the campaign. You'd think at some point they would just give up or something, but instead, after killing them 3 times each, they into this thing, just so you can again. After being shut out by the beast, back to Oriath, and before ganging up with the homies, Sin and Innocence, to And that's where the weekend ended. Somehow, I managed to clear the acts in one weekend while fucking around as much as I felt like, which was a big success. I'll find out next week how this approach does when I start clearing the atlas. And by next week, I mean tomorrow, because writing, recording the voiceover and editing this took me the whole fucking week. But you guys will find out next week, because there's a good chance I won't be doing anything this Sunday again. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss me dying over and over in tier 1 maps because of my uncapped resistances, 2000 life and 10,000 armor. Oh, and also, leave a funny comment for me to feature at the end of the next video. It's really nice to be able to steal content from viewers, like I'm doing with this comment Freak left on my last video. Well, that's everything. See you next time.